A lot of people struggle in the edit. They get bogged down and sometimes give up before they even start. Having a workflow dialed in can help you set yourself up for success in the edit every time. And that's why I'm going to show you my entire video workflow today. So get ready because I'm not holding anything back. I'm going to walk you through my workflow step by step from script to final export. Take what you need to make it your own workflow. Let's get started. First, I start with the scripts. If there's any dialogue, I will have everything written out to make sure the story flows. Even if it changes later or if it just gets used as a guide, I want to make sure I know what needs to be captured. Now, this also allows me to map out what I want to see visually too. If you want to learn how I do this and get my free script template, check out this video where I walk you through it. Once I have the script finalized with talking points and what I want to see on screen, I'm ready to create a shot list, which thanks to the script is essentially done. I simply turn the visual side into my shot list because I know I need those shots to cover me talking. Now, this also helps me know what I need to be able to say in one take when I'm on camera instead of trying to do the whole script in one go. So now I'm ready to film, so I make sure I know what camera settings I'm going to be using. Now, typically if I'm speaking to camera, I'll shoot in 24 frames per second, or if I'm doing B-roll, I might shoot in slow motion at 60. Knowing what camera settings you want or need ahead of time, especially for B-roll, can not only save you time and decision-making power on the day of the shoot, but it can also save you hard drive space and time in the edit. Now, once you actually shoot everything, the first thing I do is copy over my footage onto a drive that I'm working off of. Now, solid-state drives are the most reliable, especially if you're working with bigger file sizes. It will also be a lot faster than working off your computer. Alright, next I'll organize my files. So typically I'll have a footage folder with a folder for each camera, and if I use multiple cards, I'll have a folder for each of those as well within the camera folder. Now, I generally edit in Premiere, so I don't do much more organizing here. However, if you wanted to, you could separate A-roll from B-roll and break down your B-roll into more specific folders if you wanted to. Now, I also have a folder for project files as well as an assets folder, so anything like graphics, images, stock video, logos, or music, all the assets will live here. Then I also have an output folder, so anytime I export a video, it will live here. Now, one thing I do to save time is set up a template folder. Because I always have an assets folder, an output folder, a footage folder, and a project files folder, I've created a template that I can just copy and paste that already has those folders in there. So once I copy the template folder and rename it, then bam, I'm ready to start copying my files over and get to work without creating all those folders. Okay, so we finally made it to the edit, and like I said before, I typically work in Premiere, but my workflow will translate to most other editing programs as well. I'll always start with the A-roll. I'd like to have the story in my head before I go through B-roll, so I can be thinking about where the B-roll shots can be used in the story. I'll put all of my A-roll in the timeline, and then I'll go through it and take out any major slip-ups or major gaps. All I want left are the good sound bites. Now, one trick when you're editing A-roll and working off a script, generally speaking, the last take is the best take, so I'll usually work from back to front. I'll find the start of the last take and listen, making a cut when it's done. Then I'll go to the next to last take and listen until it's time to cut, so it lines up with the next clip I already trimmed up. Now, this just saves time so that you aren't listening to stuff that you know is going to get cut. You'll already know where you are started over, and then you can keep moving through your edit really fast. Now, once you have your A-roll mapped out, watch it back. Make sure it makes sense and tweak anything that you need to. Once you move on from here, it's a lot harder to dial in the story from the A-roll. So next, it's time for B-roll. Unless I know I'm using the natural sound in the clips, I'll take off the audio and only work with the video. This makes it easier when adding to my main timeline so that I don't accidentally delete the audio from my A-roll. Once the B-roll is in, then I'll add any graphics, text, titles, animations, anything else I need to help break up the video. Then, once I'm happy with the placement and timing of all the B-roll and graphics, I'll watch it through one more time, looking for places where it sits a little too long on the person talking, and I'll break it up by punching in. Then I'll go through and adjust the audio so that it's all pretty even and level before I add the music. Then I'll watch one more time to check for anything I missed, like gaps, spelling errors, or places where the music is too loud. If I'm happy, then I'll tweak the color, or color if I shot it flat, before my final export. And congrats, you've made it all the way through my video workflow. Now, the great thing about having a workflow is that you can get into a rhythm and work faster and more efficiently. Now, while my workflow might be too many steps or too long for your video workflow, you can still take pieces from it and make it your own. There is no holy grail workflow because we all work differently, but everyone, including you, needs a video workflow. So let me know in the comments below if you already have a workflow or if you need to work on your video workflow. Now, in the next video, I'm going to take you past all of the technical aspects of putting together a story-driven video and instead give you an editing checklist that will help you make the best possible story-driven video that will connect with your audience.